is there. In the case of that first one, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0,
It'll come up to
0,
65
1.
there, I think. 65.
Then we're going to convert that number to decimal,
No, there's 35.
which should be
35.
128.
35, I was wrong.
33.
Yeah.
The 128's is a 0, 64's is a 0, 32's, we've got a 1 in there, so 1 and 32 and a 1 and a 1. That's going to give us the equivalent of 33. So that's what we would put right here when we put it in the machine. It looks like it's a host number of 33, but it's not. We've got to break it back into binary to look and see how much it breaks off. Second one happens to be then 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. Guess what? That one's 34. Y'all follow how what's happening there? We're taking what we borrowed to keep on onto the network. So we're expanding our network. We're borrowing from our host numbers. And then still using the rest of it for our host number. And then the two combined makes this. Now, our subnet mask for that one. And this is where subnet masks really come into play. We've said this portion of it we know is the network portion, right? First 3 bytes. So what's the subnet mask for the first 3 bytes? 255, 255, 255. Everybody follow on that? Now, the last byte, the subnet mask changes on. Because in that last byte, it's not all host number, is it? First 3 bits are network, right? Guess what? We got to use those first 3 bits. They got to be turned on in the subnet mask. So in binary, it's 11000000. Everybody follow on that? So what's our subnet mask going to be there in that one there?
240.
There it is in binary.
240. Right.
128 plus 264. It should give us 224. 128 plus 64 is 192 plus 32 gives us 224.
Off by 1 bit.
So everybody follow where I got the 224 from now? And so the 224, this is what you would see in the subnet mask. Now remember the rule I just told you a few minutes ago. When we had them all up here, they were all 255s and zeros. Guess what? Now you see where there can be subnet masks that are something other than 255s and zeros. However, that odd number that's not a 255 or a 0 can only occur in the byte that is between 255s and zeros. Anything to the left of it has to be 255s. And if there was numbers to the right of it, they can wander. They can't wander either. They have to be zeros. Okay? So that 1 byte there, there's only 1 byte allowed in there that can be something different than 255 and 0. If there's other bytes to the right of it, because let's say this is a class A address. So 255, and we borrowed the first 3 bits out of our host numbers. So 224, and then the rest of them will be 0. So to the left, it's always going to start with 255. You can't borrow out of that first one, so you always start off with 255 with a subnet mask. Does not always end in a 0 because in a class C, it is ending in binary zeros, but it does not necessarily end in a decimal 0. But if you've got a number other than 255 and 0 somewhere in there, it's got to come between the 255s and the zeros. And nobody ever told me that one before I even really thought about that today. Or if they did, it went over my head. So don't ever look to see, if you ever see a number that sits there and says 255.224.255.0, is that a valid subnet mask?
Nope.
No. Is that a valid subnet mask? Yes. There's 255, 255, and 252 actually is a valid one. Because that says we're borrowing the first 6 bits. The last 2 bits, 1 and the 2, we're not using. And 3 plus 252 gives us 255, so that'll work. Okay? But notice the number came between the 255s and the zeros. Binary-wise, it's all zeros through the third spot here. And then the 5 spots are all 1s, followed by all 1s, followed by all 1s. My suggestion to you is, when you're looking at the subnet mask, convert them back into binary to look at. And if you ever get given a list and they're saying which are valid and which aren't valid subnet masks, you might want to convert to binary when you get down. You can probably eliminate 1 or 2 of them, just like we had up there on board a moment ago, that didn't follow our rule, 255s to the left, zeros to the right. Okay? That's something that mixed up in the midst of it. So you can probably eliminate a couple of their answers, but if they've written the question well, you've got 2 answers sitting there still, going, all right, now one of them's right, one of them's wrong. Put them in binary and see what you got. If it's not all 1s followed by all zeros, it's not a valid subnet.